Hello, and welcome to Philo. My name is Amber Greenlee, and this is Philo. It is an internet like call-in comic book show thing. I got to figure out my screens when I start this thing. My screens are not good yet. I have I have a co-host. This is Robin Fisher. She's far smoother than I am at starting things, and much more knowledgeable about comics, and has a really cool book that she's going to share with us later on today during her retail share.
Robin's show and tell.
Oh yes, her show and tell. And then our guest today is Philo alum Kay Kirscht, who has been doing Philo for like 17 years with me. Thereabouts.
Close. 15 to 17.
Yeah, 15, 17 years, somewhere in there. We were doing Philo way back on Minneapolis Television Network for cable access. And I think it was on Channel 19, and people would call in and be like, do this. And then we would talk to them on the phone.
Call in. Yeah.
Yes. A phone that was attached to the wall and everything.
And it was also showing in the finest bars in the area.
Yes. And so let us review where we left off. You guys don't need to see me. Hi, Pine Fox. Pine Fox is always so nice. Pine Fox joins us for Earth Space Live when we do Earth Space on Saturdays, and is always a very thoughtful viewer. And
he says that or they say that they're unable to hear you.
Unable to hear me? Oh no!
I can hear you.
Hear you.
Well, let me make sure that my mic is closer. I want to make sure that I am loud enough. So where we left off is the buffet space pirates leader happens to be the Swedish chef, and Philo and the gang they grapple board the spaceship at the last second.
Well, you should probably give the background about why they're on the spaceship and the whole buffet stealing thing.
Well, their buffet was stolen.
Period. The end. Okay, let's continue.
I think that pretty much covers it. They were vacationing, and there was a buffet on the space cruise ship that they were on that was stolen by the buffet pirates, and they are trying to get the buffet back. But yes, their buffet was stolen. Yes. And so they don disguises so they don't get detected. And then the dog is following the smell of the buffets. But a cease and desist letter comes from out of nowhere from some lawyers. And the fish lawyers distract the buffet pirates. And so Philo and the gang take this opportunity to take their buffet back. And they steal the lawyer's ship, which happens to be shark-shaped. And then the Disney, spelled with a Z. I want to be very clear about this. It's spelled with a Z.
Disney.
Launches their space fleet to get their ship back. And then the Disney ships chase Philo's gang into an actual asteroid field. And so we have the shark ship, and then we got the fleet, and they're in an asteroid field, and that's where we left off. And so, did you want to take first panel? Did you want me to take first panel, Kay?
I can take first panel.
You want to take first panel?
Says that they were muted on their end.
Oh, okay. Well,
so it's all good. It's all good.
Oh, good. Then I don't feel too bad because I'm like, wait a second. I thought my sound was okay. I did a tech check. Okay, so you want to do first panel then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what happens in the asteroid field? Let us add some down tempo music.
I'm trying really hard not to come with Star Wars like solutions
Well, I did call
because it
the
is so very
episode-
Star Wars right now.
I did call the episode Shark Wars. And so
Do you know
because-
I have this book by Will Eisner where he was trying to cash in on the whole Star Wars Jaws phenomenon.
Whoa.
It's called Star Jaws, and it's all like gags, one-page gags by Will Eisner for Star Wars and Jaws.
So, okay. So Star Wars and Jaws, we could go in that direction.
Mhm.
And an asteroid field,
Mhm.
right? And they're in a shark-shaped lawyer ship. Would we
Maybe
cut-
there's like mermaid sirens in space. That could be different from Star Wars.
Ooh.
I'm trying
Uh,
to go on
that-
the pirate theme.
Pine Fox has the idea of maybe they are shooting at asteroids in their way. Do you want to draw that, Kay?
They're shitting asteroids?
They're
No,
shooting
Shooting asteroids.
at asteroids in their way.
Okay. All right. We'll keep it family friendly. Okay.
Yes, they're shooting at asteroids in
They're
their way.
just shooting them. Okay.
Yeah, they're just shooting at asteroids.
Okay.
Yes.
Dale's not here yet. No butt talk.
Yeah. Not,
Mhm.
Well, I think Dale's mad at me right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
He's a little upset at me. But that's neither here nor there. So okay, and then your idea was to have like asteroid sirens, right? It was like little space sirens. Robin,
Yes.
you know, yes. And so they're shooting at asteroids in their way, right? And then like the little space sirens would be like
Trying
don't
to
shoot-
lure them in with their song, right? Oh.
Well, I mean, I imagine they would
But
be
you
like,
could
"Don't
make them
shoot
like
our asteroids."
harpies, like scary harpies instead of like gorgeous mermaids.
Well, I mean, but like, wouldn't they be like, "Don't shoot our asteroids"? Like,
This is what we sit on. You're wrecking our land.
exactly. You know.
So then they've angered the sirens. They've angered the sirens.
I would say, "Oh no, space sirens live there." Okay. So yeah, I'll just call them space sirens, and then that will link our two panels together.
They're trying to protect their asteroids?
Okay, my drink is here. I gotta go. I don't want it to be cold in the Canadian winter.
Maybe they're
Okay.
trying to protect their asteroids because that's where their gardens are.
What the mermaid?
The mermaid space sirens have gardens on those asteroids that
Well,
our crew are
Well, I mean,
blasting out.
I imagine that's like where they live because there's like very little in space, right? But if
Mhm.
there's an asteroid field, that's like a place where there's stuff, right?
Yeah.
So you'd want to
Mhm.
live there. It's kind of like a coral reef for space. Stuff just
Mhm.
kind of collects there, and life forms, right?
Okay.
There's
Cool.
little homes on some of the asteroids. Yeah.
Little terrariums. Okay. Let's see what I can do here.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and we'll have to do some crossover of some of the asteroids so that you know that they're like way in the background. So how have you been, Kay?
The day was full of bullshit administrative stuff. Got the front license plate of my minivan taken.
Sucks. That's terrible.
And had to have a cop come out. It could have been worse. I mean, there's been a lot of stuff going on in South Minneapolis. They take people's license plates, probably because they could peel mine off, and then put them on cars that they've stolen. And then they swapped it out with somebody else's license. So I come out of the thrift store where I've been shopping to find somebody else's license hanging vertically
Yeah.
off the front of my car. And it's a pretty
That's
license,
crazy.
actually. It has a picture of a buck on it, and it's one of those critical wildlife funding licenses that you pay a little bit more for. It's very
Mhm.
pretty, but it ain't mine. So I had to hand that to the cop. Let's see here. We have to.
Pine Fox thinks that one of the panels should cut to a family of sirens realizing in
Mhm.
their home, and then it gets blown up.
Oh, that's sad, though.
Some pathos never hurt, and we get to encourage some empathy amongst our readers.
Well, I mean, but that makes Philo and the gang the bad guys.
It could be the ships that are chasing them that are also blowing up the asteroids. It's not just them.
That's true.
Tangent says, "Hello, Amber. It's wonderful to see you today. Hiya, everyone."
Hi, Tangent. And then relaxing is what I meant to say. Whoops.
But they're still gonna get blown up, he thinks.
So you want them to look like ugly harpies?
No, I'm just saying
not
you could
heading
do
that
that
way.
instead of the typical mermaid, right?
You know,
It could be
when
scary sirens.
when I was in junior college, I went through this phase where I was drawing mermaids with butterfly wings and stuff. I don't know.
You could draw that. That sounds cool. I mean, they are in space. How do they get around? Butterfly wings is a good idea.
Let's see. Yeah, we're just gonna kind of. And for whatever reason, they're all female. Or should I draw some male, sirens?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. I'll draw some male sirens.
Our pirate crew is sexually fluid.
Well, I would imagine that there would be some male sirens, because they would be the baritones in the singing.
Mm-hmm. Or even the falsetto.
Yeah, the
You don't know their
falsetto.
backstory.
Well, let's just hope they're not the castrato. Yeah, we'll do a couple of.
But also, I think because there's girl pirates too.
Yeah. Yeah, Anne Bonny, she was a girl pirate. Yeah, Anne Bonny was very ruthless too. And gosh, I'm trying to think of her name. There was a Chinese pirate that was so successful that China basically paid her to stop pirating, and that's when she retired. Dale says sirens are half women, half bird. Make them half women, half chicken, and the male sirens half men and half rooster. Oh, naked people with chickens and rooster heads.
Yeah,
I think
see,
you're
like
thinking of
harpies. Harpies are like half.
Yeah. And then
half
I'm
bird,
thinking
too.
of having in my D&D campaign settings that mermaids' breasts are actually a set of gills, and that's when mermaids leave the water. They inflate them full of water, thus looking buxom, essentially holding their breath.
That's a good theory. By the way, the half woman, half bird comment was from Dale, so I don't think he's still mad at you.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know. Could still be mad at me.
Yeah, I guess so. He's just not mad at us. Ah, ha, ha.
Okay. And I'll have people fleeing for their lives. Don't blow up my home.
So the latest craziest AI thing I saw was they have this new thing called a microwave view, where if you show them a photo, you can it'll fill in what's missing if you rotate it, and it's so messed up. Like one of the ones was the backside of a dog looking out the window, but when you did the microwave view where you spun the dog around, the dog's face was human and flat and tiny and weird and part of the neck because it's AI. AI doesn't know what it's doing. There was another one where it was another dog and it was lying on the couch with its paws on the side, but when you did the microwave view and you turned it around, it had a giant butt, 2 little butt cheeks and a leg hanging out. It was messed up. It was pretty funny.
Just that. I
Just
don't
keep
know.
making creepy, weird things AI so people can identify you quickly. So the boomers know what they're looking at. Too many of them think AI photos are real people.
Let's see. I'm here to mansplain wiener, wiener, wiener. I would draw the sirens as chickens with Dolly Parton heads and enormous boobs. Let's see.
I think it'd be funny if they had chicken heads. And
What,
then
if they had
Dolly
chick-
Parton blonde wig and boobs. I guess then they would look like Muppet chickens, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Although those Muppet chickens never wore wigs. Gonzo's girlfriends. Oh, I had a good Sesame Street giggle the other day.
What
When
was your Sesame Street giggle?
someone, I think I posted on my Facebook where someone was like, Grover offered to help the frog, and then someone wrote in the captions, he in fact did not. He did not help at all. And it made me laugh so hard just thinking about all those old skits where Grover would just frustrate the hell out of Kermit. Kermit was the perfect straight guy.
Yeah.
Because Grover is just so sweet, but he was so doofy sometimes. But he's just sweet. And Kermit if Kermit could roll his eyes any harder, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, yeah, Kermit tried to keep order in chaos. Did you know that Kermit started as a lizard, not a frog?
Yeah, I've seen it's from the old commercials they used to do, right? They used to do a bunch of old commercials, and I think his name was Sam initially or something.
Well, Sam was Sam's Club. It was a short puppet show running in the Washington, D.C. area, and that was not Kermit. Sam was different. He was kind of a plainer guy. Kermit was a frog. He was definitely kind of a more amphibious frog. And he didn't have webby feet. He had stubby little feet. But essentially looked the same. Was known for eating flies.
I'm really lucky because I have a vintage Kermit stuffed animal, from the 70s. And the only reason I have it is because weirdly my Nana had in her collection of porcelain knickknacks. My Nana wasn't the kind of person that would be interested in those kind of things, so I don't even know why she had it, but it's in pristine condition. I love it. He looks exactly like a Kermit should.
I was able to buy an on-model Kermit last year at the garage sales, and it's got the voice.
Oh, he talks?
Yep, he talks. It's a 50th anniversary Kermit, and he's quite well done.
Nice.
So I bought it. So now
Very
I have a
cool.
little bit. I'm fond if there's the puppeteer's voice in there.
Mm-hmm.
I've got, I have one of those interactive Yodas.
Nice. Yeah.
Because it has Frank Oz's voice.
Perfect.
In the Yoda. He's so cool. So.
Yeah, I've got, I was very picky about the Cookie Monster that I got because it's really hard to get one that gets the neck right. And I found one, but he's if you push his belly, he makes a noise and he sings. Me, 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 me. And I love him so much, but when I first showed him to my nephew when he was a little kid, he when he was 1, he was terrified of that Cookie Monster. He loves him now, but then he was just he didn't like the talking Cookie Monster. Let's see, Dale says that Henson was a cartoonist he only got into puppets because he wanted to get on TV. He's got a couple of books on puppetry out of the library. Yeah, library. I have a bunch of old books about Henson. I'm kind of an Henson addict. I think, well, a while ago, I guess it was maybe 15 years ago, I decided to create my own religion and like worship real people instead of fake imaginary gods, I guess. And Jim Henson was my god because he, to me, made so many people across so many generations and across so many different cultures. He's educated and made people laugh and made people think. And I don't think there's anyone else like him in the history of mankind. And he's just a brilliant genius. And then I was like, my prophet Jesus was Bill Hicks. And then the Holy Ghost was multifaceted, and it was two women. It was Erykah Badu and Carrie Fisher. And that was the religion that I created.
Nice. I like it.
So the bots I just set up to tell people about like my shit. So sorry.
So Nightbot is you? You're a Nightbot?
I'm Nightbot.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm Nightbot. So that's why it's like read my stuff. And then it's a link to my website, right? Watch my stuff. And then it's linked to my YouTube.
For some reason, Dale wants us to think about Charles Schultz. Okay.
That's because Dale loves Charles Schultz.
I do too.
None of us were arguing that. I have to be honest with you, though. I have for a very, very long time not liked Peanuts, and for many various reasons. But then when Seth, he's a Canadian cartoonist who did a comic called "It's a Good Life If You Don't Weekend," and his series is Palookaville. He put together for Fantagraphics these collections, these gorgeous like little hardcover collections of the original series. And those first 2 years from the 50s, I freaking love them. They're like Charlie Brown isn't the main character. The art looks completely different. Like it's so different. Peppermint Patty is way more interesting. And I find the character, like I just really enjoy the caricatures of the kids more. They seem more like kids to me. And I mean, I get that the whole point of Peanuts was that they were supposed to be like kids having these adult feelings and emotions. Like I get it, but it just always seemed so down to me. And I just never really loved it, which is funny because like I'm a huge For Better For Worse fan, and she reveres Charles Schultz, Lynn Johnson, so like I respect him and I get it, but my favorite is the first 2 years with big blockhead Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Dale wants to talk about Charles Schultz because he feels that Charles Schultz is higher on the God scale than Henson. Well, you know, to each his own. You love Zardoz, so. And I've totally missed the point of Peanuts. I've totally missed the point of Peanuts. That's fine. We're all entitled to have our own opinions, Dale. You should just be grateful that I like any of it.
Helps to be middle-aged and male.
Yeah, and white.
And white, yeah. Although, Schultz really did stand up for Franklin.
Yeah, he did.
They wanted
so
him
did
to
Jim
drop
Henson.
Franklin.
Jim Henson had black actors and black Muppet. Well, yeah, they were black. Some were purple, but some were black.
Roosevelt Franklin. I don't know if you remember Roosevelt Franklin.
Yes, I do.
Ah, good.
Old school Sesame Street. If you watch like the first season too, it can get really dark. I remember there's a skit where like I think it's like Ernie wants to hit Bert in the head with a hammer.
Are you done with your panel, Kay?
Yes, I am.
When you're done with your panel, you gotta let me know.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We got into talking about Henson and Schultz. Come on, these are very important debates.
Yeah.
And I was adding more detail to it.
Okay, well, I mean, if you're not done with it, you have to let me know. But if you're done with it, you have to let me know.
I'm done.
Are we not going to do butterfly wings on our sirens?
I'm probably going to put them in post-production.
That's adding a lot. That's asking a lot for a butterfly.
Okay, they look cool so
seaweed
far.
Hair, and then some coxcombs on them, and some of them do look more like chickens. Some of them don't. There's
the evolution of sirens.
Yeah, and then there are the asteroids with the various plants on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we should start thinking about what the next panel is.
Here's a big honking strawberry asteroid right here.
Are the sirens gonna go full Captain or not Captain Nemo, full Nemo from or not Nemo, Namor from Marvel with pitchforks and tridents to protect their asteroids?
I think that's fair.
Or maybe they have laser beam eyes.
Well, they're from space, so like in space, no one can hear you scream, but can they hear you sing?
But then how do they lure people? Just by their being sexy? Like, they're just sitting there, and all of a sudden it's like, hey, what's that?
Maybe they sing in radio frequencies.
Ooh la.
Maybe, yeah. That would be cool.
You know, and it's like, oh no, we're picking up the siren signal.
So what do you want me to draw? What's it? Are you okay, Robin?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay.
It's just the chai has like cinnamon and stuff in it, right?
Gotcha. Yep. Spicy.
I was just thinking
And a little bit of pepper in it too.
Yes.
That's
If the sirens are on different radio wavelengths, then maybe they can use their voice as a weapon also, like how that character Siren from Marvel Comics can, like, or Banshee, you know, blah, 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 blah. So that's how they protect their asteroids as well, with their voice.
Well, we have
to lure and destroy.
We have some ideas from chat. Radio drama singing, says Tangent. Space pirates get googly-eyed when the song comes over the radio. And Pine Fox says, or they could use like a hypnotic light, like anglerfish.
Oh, that's kind of a cool idea.
I'll do both.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of like maybe they're telepathic and like you hear the singing in your head, so you can't get away from it, right?
And they're probably using your name, like it's individually individualized.
And then there's like a floating magic light in front of you that's so pretty. Right.
I'm down with that. So, but how are we going to draw it?
Yeah. So Kay.
Should it show them like being zombies, like heading towards the light?
No, I like Pine Fox's description of like the space sirens use a hypnotic light like anglerfish to lure in the are they luring in the fleet?
Well, yeah, they've got to stop whoever's destroying their asteroids.
Yeah, to lure in all the ships.
Yes.
I'm going to have it from the viewpoint of Philo and crew inside the shark ship, and then looking out upon the scene and being hypnotized by it.
Okay.
Well, that's what I was saying. Are they like zombies because they're like distracted by the light and they're just like, oh, like their eyes are all like as they like blindly go forward towards the anglerfish siren?
Well, I mean, I imagine like the anglerfish, like, let's see. I have.
You know what's really funny is I work with these two Mennonite women, and I was telling them all about anglerfish today. I was like, okay, so when the anglerfish woman wants to have babies, and they were just like, their eyes were just like, what? Like when I told them about seahorses, they had no idea. One of them was so shocked. She was just, when I told her about the male seahorses having the baby, she was like, why did God? Wow, God is so mysterious.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, it's fascinating what nature has done.
Yeah. If you really want to blow your mind, like start reading about how orchids reproduce.
Well, my first lessons were from Isabella Rossellini. I don't know if I've mentioned this show before, but she has this excellent YouTube show from like eons ago called Green Porno, where she goes through all the mating habits of all the animals, and they're like kind of animated by like a paper sort of art. And it's really cool, and it's really funny. She is so hilarious. Like I still remember when she was doing deers and how like the male deer gets to pick a mate from a harem of women. She was in there with the female deers going, pick me, pick she takes the part of the female animal, like, as well as having other like actual, ducks or deers around her that are paper animated. But she's a special lady, that Isabella Rossellini.
Oh man. Yeah,
Speaking of animals, I got a new book today. I got 2 new books actually.
Yes, do your retail share. Before you show your books though, there's a new YouTube channel I've been watching. Well, new to me YouTube channel. Viva La Dirt League. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
It is a skit comedy about like video games and video game development, and like it's funny. Live action skit comedy, but they'll do stuff like when they pick up equipment, they do this little jump. Yeah, it's great. Yes, and Dale is continuing to mansplain to us Schultz's cartoons.
Maybe he's trying to educate other people. So this was the first book I got. I got it from my nephew, but it's like part of my collection because I'm going to take really good care of it because it's awesome. It's like the ultimate animal book, but the photos are huge and gorgeous, and everything's super detailed.
Nice.
And it goes over like all the different creatures on Earth, and like look at this fish one. This is a giant fish photo. And it was really funny because I'm flipping through the whole thing. I'm like, where's the octopuses? They've got to have octopus. This is crazy. They got scorpionfish. They got clownfish. They even got that anglerfish, the pufferfish. Where are the octopus? This is insane. You got the seahorse. Where's the octopus? Come on now. And then it's like one of the last things. There's an octopus. I was like, finally.
See, and now
deprive me of my octopus.
Now he says he's taking his penis and going home.
All right, so there's the anglerfish that we were talking about. Beautiful, beautiful, sexy beast that it is.
Yeah, they're tiny.
Yeah.
They're little
but
tiny.
they look like they'd be epic, but they're like something like this big. But yeah, the book is so cool. I'm currently reading it myself because I'm like, I want to see if there's any new facts I can learn about animals. And actually I got it for $7 at this Canadian chain store called Giant Tiger. But when I first I shopped there, I was in French Canada, and everything has a French Canadian version. So it's Tigre Géant in French Canada, and I love calling it Tigre Géant instead of Giant Tiger. Ultimate animals. And then I'll show you the thing that I just opened that just came in today. So one of my friends is this comic book artist named Hoshe Anderson, and he is actually quite the artist. He's very talented, but he's also had a long career in comics since like the early 80s. He did an adult comic for Fantagraphics. That was one of his first published works. It was called I Want to Be Your Dog. And then he is known for drawing women in like a really natural style because like he's just a dude from Toronto, Canada, and he draws people the way they actually look. Anyways, he had this like GoFundMe, and it's called The Most Embarrassing Things I've Ever Done, and it's like his early work. But he's mostly famous for he did the autobiography of Martin Luther King in comic book format through Fantagraphics, and it's like been translated into like 50 different languages, and it's taught at universities around the world, which I think is pretty amazing. And now he's currently, I think he's like the talent curator. I'm not exactly sure what his title is, but he's like heading up the programming for the Toronto Comic Art Festival, which is again a really big deal. So yeah, he's doing lots of work. But this is a cool book because this is the stuff he did when he was young, and like his style now is really slick. But back then, I don't know, it had a lot of style too. He definitely had his own thing going. I really love his work. My funny story with him is I wanted to interview him because I've liked his work for a really long time. And he, at the time, hadn't really published anything in a long time. And so he was like, why do you want to talk to me? And he actually interviewed me before I could interview him. He gave me a deep grilling, and then when he figured, this girl kind of knows what she's talking about, he let me interview him. At the time, he was fed up with comics because they weren't really paying very well, and he wasn't getting the work he wanted. So he got into film. Sorry?
They still don't pay very well.
No, they don't. But he got into film, and so for like 10 years, he was writing and directing movies. Look at this piece.
Nice.
So, his women aren't super gorgeous or typical looking, but they are usually quite fierce and very cool. I was telling Kay that he was doing DC Comics, the Milestone series, and it was like their superhero foray into like black comic book superheroes. And he was doing a character called Wya's Son, which was basically their Superman character. And he just instead of having them fighting supervillains and getting into all this ruckus, he had them discussing like what their role in the community was and what they can do to better the community and make things more easier for people living in the community. And it was not what DC signed up for at all, and they were not happy, but I love those issues. I think they're so excellent. So here's the last thing I'm going to show you. He kindly sent a piece of art with everybody who invested, and this is the piece I got sent.
Nice.
Yeah. He's so good. When I was visiting him a couple years ago, I got to see him work on one of the covers he was doing, because Marvel has asked him to do... So, Marvel's hopping on the whole Black Lives Matter bandwagon. They asked him to do a comic from his perspective, and it was a Luke Cage comic, and it kind of revolved around the whole George Foreman thing, and how what the police did, and how like a Marvel superhero would react in that kind of situation. And they refused to publish it, actually, because then they were just like, oh, well, we don't want you to get the death threats, and we're worried about, what's going to happen if you publish this. And this was years ago. This was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, when I got to see him last time, he was doing this gorgeous painting, because he did this Blade comic, and it's supposed to come out with the movie. But the movie's in hiatus. Nobody knows when that movie's coming out. And again, he's done this gorgeous comic. It's all in reds and blacks, and it's dynamic and exciting. But we're not going to see it because we're not publishing it. But yeah, so at least we got this book. And he's got his own series, Godhead, that again is also being published, I think by Fantagraphics as well. And yeah, he keeps putting stuff out. He's been so prolific lately. O'Shea Anderson. Good stuff. And that's my show and tell.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm still working on this panel.
Tangent says there's a game called Outer Wilds that has a space anglerfish, but it's not tiny. And it's on sale for $15 on Steam.
Yeah, I played the Outer Wilds, and I was getting into the story and everything, but the controls were really stiff. And it was hard for me to play it because, like, I kept dying because the controls were like, I don't know. It was just, it felt like playing Quake. The controls were really, like...
Jostly?
Not jostly, but just like, you press up and you're going up, right? You press left and it's like a straight left, right? There wasn't any curves to it.
No brace.
It was just like, I don't know. It was very rigid. But yeah, Dale's mad at me because I accused him of mansplaining. And he didn't
like
appreciate
2 weeks
that.
ago, though?
Yeah, but this was like a week ago. And he didn't appreciate that, and he hasn't been able to let it go. And so that's why he came in here and into chat and proceeded to write a novel about peanuts and his penis.
There,
well,
I'm done.
I'm always confronted by this attitude when it comes towards men in comic books. If it's not about Charles Schultz, it's about Jack Kirby. If it's not about Jack Kirby, it's about somebody else. I'm allowed to have my own opinion, and I'm sorry, I just don't relate to the older Peanuts stuff at all. And I've been reading it since I was a kid, so it's not like I don't know what I'm talking about.
I share the opinion with you. I share the opinion with you, and he doesn't. He's not like, yeah, he doesn't like that. Okay, I am way behind. I need to jump to panel 4.
Okay.
Yeah, let me.
Yeah, Kay is blowing you out of the water.
Yeah, she is. But I also had a really complicated asteroid exploding, full of mermaids panel. So, like,
yeah, both panels have a lot going on. That's exciting.
Okay. So what happens after? What happens after the Banshee radio draws them in, and they they have like,
maybe they release some of the buffet to the sirens,
because they're hypnotized, right?
Yeah.
See, what does chat think? Yes, chat hasn't commented yet. So, yeah, maybe.
Chat is extremely quiet.
Chat is quiet. Well, again, we had Dale writing a freaking novel. About
if someone is watching us live on YouTube, can they comment?
Is someone watching us live on YouTube?
Should be able to.
No, I'm just asking.
I don't know. I
told one of the customers that where I work, one of my regulars, about it, and he said he'd watch. So I didn't know if.
I can't tell where people are watching. Only that 4 people are watching. And so okay. So what happens next after they use their Banshee radio wavelength anglerfish? Wave anglerfish. And then Kay, can you shrink the text so that the bottom isn't cut off?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, you know how the anglerfishes procreate? They absorb their mates.
Yes, the males.
So maybe that's how these sirens are trying. What the sirens are trying to do is get them out of the ship so they can absorb them.
The males become little bumpies on the females, and they become little sperm sacs that the females like when she has a batch of eggs that she's ready to release, she like sucks up one of the sperm sacs and fertilizes her own eggs, and then releases the fertilized eggs into the water. And a female anglerfish can have something like 6 or 7 like hatches of eggs, batches of eggs, I guess you could say.
I've heard she can also have like more than one set of balls attached to her body.
Oh, they can have hundreds. Whew. Yeah. So imagine being the male and you're like, oh boy, I found the female, right? And then you become the like ball on the outside of her body, and she never uses you. She never sucks you. She never sucks you up.
I'm sure there's a lot of sperm that can relate to that story.
I suppose that's true. Okay, so maybe
it was like Bill Hicks, and he was talking about abortion, and he was like, I've destroyed entire civilizations on my chest.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe that's it, is they have anglerfish. They're trying to draw them out of the shape. Well,
but maybe only like half the crew, because we still need our friends to be alive.
Pine Fox says maybe they try to lead them out of the ship, but they don't know how to open the door while hypnotized. And the Magic Marmot says, sorry, got deep in an inventory.
Pine Fox has a point, because it's not their ship, right? Like, they stole the lawyer's ship, so they are kind of winging it, figuring out how to use it. So maybe they don't know how to get out of it. But they are trying, because they're being hypnotized.
Okay, so I got to figure out what to draw. So then they would be flopping around to try and open the ship to get out to the angler lights.
Maybe they're trying to smash windows because the door won't open.
Well, I like the floppy.
Okay,
like,
yeah, sure, go ahead.
Visual, but
Fish floppy.
yeah, because like they're hypnotized, right? So they're like, okay, yeah. So let's see, our crew. Let's see, Philo, Armand, Dog, and Little Shroom flop to try and get out. Okay, so what happens after they're trying to flop to get out? Because Kay now needs to know what to draw.
Well, in all the flopping, I'm sure one of them hits the button and it opens. Like,
whoa. That would be the end of them all, really.
Maybe they don't taste good.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe the sirens, but they're being chased too, right? So maybe those, like the people that are chasing them, shoot away the sirens.
Okay.
And saves them at the last minute.
Where they could hit like a booster button and it gets them away, says Pine Fox.
Okay.
That's a good idea too.
Yeah. Okay, I like that.
Sends them off in ludicrous speed.
Yes! Can you draw plaid?
Draw plaid?
Yes! That's
Oh.
ludicrous speed.
Okay.
Haven't you ever seen Spaceballs?
It's been decades.
Yeah, it's true. It's been decades for me.
I'll look it up.
But I was very influenced by it as a preteen, and I memorized a lot of it. I'm a man, half dog. I'm my own best friend.
Oh,
I'm
that
my
guy.
own best friend.
Okay.
Yes.
That guy. That guy's John Candy. He's a Canadian. That guy.
Yes. So ludicrous speed. When they go to ludicrous speed, they like overshoot the Winnebago, right? And they're going so fast, they go to plaid.
Instead of, like all the stars going by,
yeah,
it's
instead of the stripes of the stars or color or whatever, it's like plaid, like shooting over the Winnebago, right? So if they're going at ludicrous speed, you have to draw plaid.
Speaking of plaid, did I tell you guys? I can't remember if I told you guys last week that I was like in a Tom Green world for 4 or 5 days. Did I tell you guys that? No? Well, one of his earliest pranks ever is his parents went away and he painted their house plaid on the outside.
Oof.
Yes, with your aunt. See, Magic Marmot remembers. Okay, so good. I won't repeat myself. I don't like repeating myself. But anyways, yeah, there was like a documentary that he'd done, and these were all on Amazon, and I've canceled my subscription, so I'm trying to watch all the stuff I want to see before it cancels out. So there was a documentary about him, and then there was a TV series now about him in the country, and there was also a stand-up comedy routine called I Got a Mule. So it was like 3 trifecta of Tom Green content.
You're so cute.
He's great. He's got some funny shit, man. Like, I saw him do stand-up in Montreal one year, and he was talking about how we're going to evolve into these hunched-over creatures with giant thumbs because all we do is write on our phones. And then he was, like, talking about how, like, Facebook has screwed up so many marriages, and he goes, what did they used to do before Facebook when your old girlfriend's looking you up and contacting you going, hi, she's going to call you at home, your wife's going to be like, what do you want, woman? He's funny. He's got good jokes, that Mr. Tom Green.
Remember when he was with Drew Barrymore?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
I do remember that, and I even saw his appearance on Saturday Night Live, which was quite hilarious, and at the end, they did a fake wedding where she left him at the altar, and he lost his mind. My favorite thing, though, that he did, speaking of people he dated, is... and I just thought that was really good because he did this because the media was being so manipulative at the time. He had Monica Lewinsky come to Ottawa and he was going on and on and on about how he had this huge announcement to make. And he went to like this high-end restaurant with his parents and made it seem like he had to tell them something really important. But, you know, people kept coming around to talk to him. So he would be screaming at them like, paparazzi, leave us alone. And it'd be like one person, right? So he never got to tell his parents the big news. And so finally he had this press conference on top of the roof. And Monica was there, and it was a big deal. And all the paparazzi were there. And he was just there to announce her new handbag line. But, like, they treated her so badly, he wanted to kind of, like, challenge them. I don't know. I can't remember what I said last time, but, like, he was really ahead of his time. They say he's, like, one of the first reality TV performers, period, because he was doing this in the early 90s, where he was just going on the street and talking to people.
No, he was definitely ahead of his time. And then
he had Joe Rogan on his show, and Rogan was, like, completely crediting the Rogan show to Tom Green. He was like, when I saw what you did in your living room, that I knew I could do it. And so, like, all of that is Tom Green's fault. And I really actually want to ask him how, like, because he's in Canada now. He left LA and he'd been living in Los Angeles for 20 years. And I mean, it's a good time he left too, because who knows what would have happened to his place during the fires. Like, I don't know where he was and all that. But he brought everything back home to Canada in time. And I really want to ask him, like, he was friends with a lot of those guys like Joe Rogan, and it's just like, how do you reconcile what they've become to what they were? You were friends. Are you still friends? Do you just forget the fact that he's like this crazy Trump supporter now? And like, well, I don't know what he is now. Maybe he's got regrets, but he certainly had his hand in supporting him the first time around, that Rogan.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah, I love Tom Green. He's great.
Yeah, he was definitely ahead of his time. And,
like they have interview footage of him in like 2004, 2005, talking about how like in the future we're just going to have a giant TV screen on the wall and it's going to do everything. It's going to connect to the internet. It's going to connect to your computer. It's going to connect to your music. It's going to have everything on that TV screen. And he was completely 100% right. Like literally 100% right. He was also the first person to film his actual colon. I don't know what the surgical term is, but he had testicular cancer and they removed one of his balls and they filmed the whole thing, like guts and everything. And he was the first person to put that on TV. And like a lot of people credit him with saving their life.
Good night,
because he was a young guy when that happened. I was like right when he married Drew Barrymore that happened, and that was kind of the catalyst that ended their relationship. But like he was like, this was he was at the top of the world. He was just starting to get super famous through MTV, and this happened, and he filmed the whole thing. And just for educational purposes, so many people, so many guys were like, you made me go look and you saved my life. Like they found cancer. I didn't even think of it. I didn't even know, you know, like, so that's kind of amazing.
Yeah, no, Hamill, the creator of the show, creator of Philo, loves Tom Green.
Nice.
And just huge fan of Tom Green. And like, you know, I saw Freddy Got Fingered originally when it came out in the theaters, and I guess I didn't get it the first time around.
No, it's pretty absurd. It's a pretty absurd thing to watch.
Yeah, and so, you know, watching it with Hamill, he's like, no, I'll point it out to you why it's funny. And so it was a very different experience watching it with him than watching it, you know, alone.
Yeah.
In the theater.
But if you like know Tom's comedy, it's not hard to figure it out. I don't know. Because his comedy was always absurd. Like I remember there was an episode of his cable TV show where I don't remember if I told this before, where he hosed down his entire audience, like just soaked them entirely wet. And then this is the middle of winter in Ottawa, which is colder than where I live now because it's more north. So at 3 a.m., he commandeered a city bus and he got all his audience driven home. But then he would go into the house with them and invade their roommates' bedrooms or their parents' bedrooms and interview them. Like he was so bad sometimes you were just like, what the fuck, I can't believe he didn't get beaten half the time. But it was sure funny TV.
And the thing is he predated all of these like shock guys on YouTube.
Yep, Jackass was long before Jackass, and Jackass in fact stole some of his skits. Like he did the whole old person in a scooter smashing into things before Jackass did, and they totally took that from him. I remember one skit, he was like covered in blood and bandages, and he was carrying around a mangled bicycle, and he was just wandering around downtown Ottawa, and people were just like, "Are you okay? Do you need help?" And he would just like be all dazed, and then the cops would show up, and he would just like get up and walk normal and walk away. Everyone's like, what just happened?
Yeah.
He's one of a kind. One of a kind.
Yeah, I just, his humor just never struck me because he always seemed like a bully. You know?
No, but he's not. Like, the only person he bullied was his sidekick. And that's one of his best friends, and that dude agreed to everything. I don't know. Because anytime he did anything crazy that to me would come across as maybe being a bully, he always made himself look way worse. Like, I remember one time he went out screaming into the audience that they'd stolen Glenn, his sidekick's watch. But he was just in there yelling, looking like an idiot. It made him look really stupid. It wasn't... You're not sitting there going, "Oh, those poor people," because he's just being an idiot. Like, that was half. I don't know. I guess maybe I'm not as sensitive to it because I love The Soup, and I know a lot of people hate that show because it's kind of bullying.
Yeah. You know, like I can only take The Soup in like small doses. You know. Same thing with Tosh.0, which is the same.
Yeah, but
format.
see, I found The Soup to be way more intelligent than Tosh.0. Like, the jokes were quite clever. He would always have really interesting guests on. Like, I was always shocked to find, like, Lou Diamond Phillips and Lucy Lawless were quite hilarious. And it wasn't, like, it was scripted to a point, but so it was improv, quite a bit of it. Like, I was so devastated when that show ended, because it ended quite unceremoniously. Like, it had been on the air for something like 11 years. And then they just ended it, like, and I was in China at the time, and it was really funny because at the time I was like bulking them up. Like, I'd wait a month so I could watch 4 of them at a time. And it was kind of like my lifeline to Canada and the United States when I was over in China. And I got my coworker into it, and I was coming into work one day, and he was like, "So, you know, The Soup is ending in like 2 weeks." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "Yeah, I just watched the latest episode, and they said in 2 weeks it's gonna be over." And I was like, I literally started crying. And then I made a movie about it. If you search YouTube, you can find my movie that I made about how much I love The Soup. And it's like all video from my time in China, so it's like this weird juxtaposition. I love that show so much.
Quiet this episode.
What?
You're really quiet this episode.
I guess I'm quiet this episode.
Yeah, sorry, Robin's monopolizing the conversation.
That's okay. You can talk. I'm not going to stop you. Magic Marmot did say the on-camera persona is one thing. Rogan has controversial people because drama drives engagement.
It's true, but he says some pretty controversial stuff. Like, I remember his stance on COVID wasn't that enlightened.
Yeah.
And a lot of people listen to him and take what he says at face value. And, you know, honestly, I just have a hard time with people that hunt for fun. Yeah. And that's one of his things. He loves hunting for fun. And I'm like, you don't...
space without their consent. That's uncomfortable when it's done to you. And then what's your YouTube, Robin?
Oh, I think it's just like if you look up Robin Fisher and then you put The Soup in there, you'll get it. I'm not very organized with my YouTube channel because I think there's also like 1 or 2 videos about me talking about action figures as well. But it's not that good of a YouTube channel. It's not that interesting. But yeah, I'm proud of that little video. But yeah, it's because one of the other things on the little video that happened that I thought was really funny is I interviewed my coworkers about what had happened, and my Irish coworker was so hilarious. The way he did a total piss take on how upset he was that I was crying and how I put him in this position of awkwardness because I was sobbing over this silly TV show and he had to work with me and get it together, woman. Like, he was totally joking, but it was so funny in the interview.
Yeah, I speaking of YouTube and stuff, I spent like the last few days cleaning up kind of my online like persona stuff.
Fingerprint.
Well, and so like I did stuff like add new thumbnails to the live streams for Earth Space on my YouTube channel, and you know, like just clean up the podcasts and stuff, you know, just trying to make things like a little cleaner. And then Magic Marmot says it doesn't show up in a search.
Yeah, I'm gonna find it right now. I'll find it, don't worry. It should show me pretty quick because like it's me looking it up. But yeah, it's such a generic bit of work. Oh, here it is. Okay, so if you look it up in capital letters, I love soup. There's been 109 views, and it's 9 years old. And it's Robin Fisher. I've got it right here. I don't know. See the little Chinese kids dancing? In China, they did this thing with the kids where it was like an exercise routine, but it was like a weird sort of like dance. And we did them every morning, or we did them, you know, once a week. But it was like line dancing with the kids, I guess. But it was, we kind of had to do it all the time. I don't know, maybe it taught them discipline, I guess. Hey, the Nightbot is back. Hi, Nightbot. Yeah, you're so cute, Nightbot. Did you draw that icon for the Nightbot?
The little no, I didn't draw the icon. That's the
okay.
That's just the icon it came with. But yes,
I'm super sad that Armand is not in color anymore. Earlier he was like this cool purpley blue color for a minute.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know. You were using a red pencil, so I think you were just. It was the contrast, but it
oh no,
cool.
it's because
See, look at he's purpley blue. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, that was the yeah, it's because I was trying to draw on top of it, and rather than try and interpret red lines on top of red lines, you know, I did it that way. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's been kind of a tired week for me. I got trained on the sound booth at work at my day job, and I think I worked 5 days this week, which
that's
you
good.
know, yeah,
it's hard, but it's good. I mean, the money will alleviate some stress in the house, right?
Yeah, and it's just you know, it's just another thing, you know. Yeah, I see Nightbot's going through everything and going, yeah, here. I wonder why my panel-to-panel link isn't working. My other links are working, but my panel-to-panel link isn't working. That's weird. Let's see. Still not seeing it, probably because of the Canadian thing. Pisses me off.
I don't think, are we censored over there? I don't think so. I mean, there's the news ban on Facebook. Like, I can't send you guys I can't post any Canadian news, but so the way we get around that is screenshotting stuff, but
yeah.
I didn't think there was a YouTube Canadian shadow ban, like Jeepers Creepers.
Wouldn't surprise me. You know, we're slowly turning into a deep, dark, dystopian state. So, you know, they're just gonna slowly cut us away from the world. And, you know, the next thing you know, like it will be somebody else here going, oh no, I've always been Amber. You know, oh yes, this is now stage show.
I will remain fake Jan.
Yeah. It's because panel to panel doesn't support HTTPS.
Okay. Hey, Magic Marmot, my YouTube is at Robin Fisher 4209. That might help. So ROBINFISHER 4209. Oh, I have subscribers. Well, let me look at them.
What, do you have subscribers? You have new subscribers?
I have 2, but it won't let me look at them. I was curious who they might be. Oh well.
Yeah, I don't even think I'm subscribed to your YouTube.
No, because it's not really anything, and I have a secondary channel anyways with all the action figure stuff. I've got to figure out how to merge them. But yeah, maybe that helps. I don't know.
I'm done.
Oh no. You gotta let me catch up.
It's okay.
Ludicrous speed.
I'm really sketchy.
The other quote that I always use from Spaceballs is when Mog goes, "You know you're right, and when you're right, and you're always right."
One of my favorite quotes from Spaceballs is "Fooled you."
Oh my god, I saw a clip with this guy and he was like, I've been in Tony Award winning plays, I've done these movies, I've done this.
Yeah.
And he goes, and all anyone remembers me is combing the sand.
That's Tim Russ.
Yeah,
that's Tim Russ. He played Tuvok also on Star Trek Voyager.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so now I am on panel 6. So we can figure out what I'm drawing, and then we can figure out what Kay is drawing.
So they've escaped the sirens then if they've gone to ludicrous speed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, so let me put Kay in the center, booster button, and blast out to ludicrous speed. Okay, so they blast out to ludicrous speed. Now, is Disney still chasing them? Does Disney blast out to ludicrous speed?
No, I don't think they can follow, because they'd have to know where they're actually going to follow them, right? Isn't that how light speed, and ludicrous speed work? Besides, they're probably jamming them with peanut butter and jam. The Spaceball jokes keep rolling.
It was Raspberry.
Sorry.
The only one willing to give him the raspberry was Lone Star. Yes, I know that movie quite well. I love that movie. So yes.
Magic Marmot's right. Disney needs clearance from their legal team to engage ludicrous speed.
I think that should be my panel then. I like that. Okay.
So do the fish lawyers show up onto the bridge of the Disney Corp ships?
Shimmers in.
They get sued by their own lawyers.
Well, I mean, I imagine the lawyers would be there with like Mel Brooks's lawyers, right? Mm-hmm. What would Mel Brooks's lawyers be? They would just look like old Jewish men, wouldn't they?
They'd basically look like Mel Brooks at this point, right?
They look like crabs.
They look like crabs.
Why would they look like crabs?
I don't know, but I love it. It's absurd.
That would make Mel crack up.
It'd make me crack up.
Okay.
I got crabs.
Okay, so
crab people.
Mm-hmm.
That's a South Park joke too. Crab people.
Team to engage.
Yeah, isn't Mel Brooks like almost 100 years old at this point?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's I want to say he's 97.
When I was a kid growing up, my favorite movie was Blazing Saddles. I loved that movie so much. I had such a crush on the lead actor. Cleavon Little, I think his name was.
Mm-hmm.
Part was supposed to go to one Mr. Richard Pryor, but they thought he'd be too controversial.
Also, I think
also I read that it was the drugs too. Like it was really hard to get him insured for the film because he was always freaking high.
And also, this might have been after he had the misadventure with freebasing.
Mm-hmm.
No. This was long before that.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, no, that was a couple years after that.
Yeah, you're right.
He set himself on fire.
Yeah, that would have been like 79.
Yeah,
80.
I'm sad that they had to edit the farts.
Did they? Because I remember a lot of farting in Blazing Saddles.
Yeah,
a lot.
But the bean scene, they had to edit that.
That whole thing is farts.
Yeah. Anyway, Yes, so Disney needs clearance from their legal team to engage ludicrous speed. What happens after that for Kay to draw? What happens after that?
Well, our adventurers have to stop somewhere, so maybe we could do like a Star Trek thing and pick like where they end up.
Well, okay. We have 20 minutes left. So that's enough time to draw one more panel.
So where would they stop?
We should think of our favorite places in fantasy stories that we like and maybe send them to one of theirs. So I can think of 2, for example, and you don't have to use these. I'm just using these as examples. I was always really fascinated by the planet that Supergirl lived on in the Girl movie. You know, where Peter O'Toole lives with those weird bubble glass houses. It's kind of like the above water version of Jar Jar Binks's land. And then the other one I was thinking of is I really always liked I've lost it now. But you know, Cloud City is always a really neat idea, like Bespin in Star Wars. So like Kay, you should come up with one of your favorite places in Fantasy World, and then Amber, you should come up with one of yours. And then we should pick one where they go.
Let's see.
Like, does it have to be in space or just in general?
It can be in general. You know what I mean?
I was thinking
Second start of the right, straight on till morning.
How about
what does morning look like?
Well, you know, that's Tomorrowland. Like, Tomorrowland.
More Disney?
What's wrong
There's the
with
Tomorrowland in Disney.
Okay, Peter Pan predates Disney, and while Disney did a Peter Pan Disney version, Peter Pan is not Disney. It's like Winnie the Pooh.
Not originally, no.
Yeah, Peter Pan's its own thing.
Magic Market thinks they should end up at a Buc-ee's. And I've actually heard of Buc-ee's. It's a very mythological place. No, it's a real place, I know. And then Magic Market says you never get to Tomorrowland.
You never get to Tomorrowland? Ever?
But you know, like things like Hoth. Hoth is like a pretty interesting idea. It's like that. It's all just ice. Or,
oh, okay.
Like Mordor, where it's just all volcanoes and lava and goblins. I'm just thinking of like just environments in fantasy stories, whether they're like movies or TV shows or books or whatever, that are different.
I could do Buc-ee's Fantasyland.
That sounds pretty cool.
Okay.
And weird
the parking
and
lot
different
is
and original.
large enough.
So then when the ship stops, they end up in the middle of space in front of a giant building, and it's a Buc-ee's?
Yep.
It's right there in the middle of space. Awesome. See? We got Kay's new panel!
Yeah! Okay.
Okay, so they're going to a Buc-ee's.
I've never been to one, but I've heard of it. Through the interwebs, they talk about it.
Let's see. Okay.
Magic Marmot said that inside the Buc-ee's, there's a monolith, like 2001 Space Odyssey. Is it a giant beaver? Is Buc-ee's mascot a beaver? Magic Marmot says it should be a huge truck stop.
You got
Is
it.
Buc-ee's usually a truck stop?
Yeah.
Looks like it.
Oh, okay.
This one's got pickups in front of it.
All right, there we go.
Thank you.
When I was a teenager, we used to do stuff like that because I lived in Sault Ste. Marie. So we'd go down to the States and be like, we've never been to a Jack in the Box. Let's go eat at a Jack in the Box. So if I was still living there, we'd probably try to find a Buc-ee's. Drive around Michigan aimlessly. 3 a.m. There was a grocery store called Glenn's that you guys had that was open 24 hours, and we'd go in there and just like marvel over the junk food because it was all so different from our Canadian junk food. And then, like, of course, crossing the border, they were like, what are you doing? It's like 4 a.m. We're these dumb teenagers. Oh, I just wanted to check out the United States. And of course, this was all long before 9/11. This was like in 1993, 93, 94. Magic Marmot says Buc-ee's are more of a down south kind of thing. Probably why I don't know about it very much. Hey, with these fish lawyers, do you think like SpongeBob should make an appearance?
I don't know. I'm trying to do the like captain sitting in the chair right now. You know, trying to figure out who would the Disney captain be.
Hook.
Would it
Captain
be
Hook?
Captain Hook? But then I'm drawing Captain Hook over and over again.
Oh, okay. What is that? Atlantis. That guy from Atlantis, wasn't he like kind of a ship's captain? That kid. It's been a while since I've seen Atlantis. Oh, what about the big pink bear from Toy Story? He was a leader in the third movie, so he could be like a captain.
No, I think I'll just go for a Shatner
Generic?
type. I'll just go for a Shatner type.
Erasmus from the Song of the South.
Okay, we got 15 minutes.
Maybe give your ship's captain a mustache like the actual Walt Disney.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and his two-finger point, because they airbrushed the cigarette out of all of the photos of him smoking a cigarette. Because you can't have Walt Disney smoking a cigarette in photos. Oh, no, no, no.
He's a paragon of virtue now. Watch what you say.
Yeah, paragon of virtue now.
Probably only the other cult figure next to Trump at this point. The ones that people blindly worship, Walt Disney. Like, people go to that place like it's a pilgrimage every year. Like, and I'm not exempting, like, there's people in my household who also do the same.
Yeah. I mean, I admit I grew up in Southern California, so it was there, right? You know, and I admit I've been to Disneyland multiple times in my life, which a lot of people can't say. And, but again, that's because it was the local amusement park, right?
Yeah.
And like, yeah, even for the locals, you can't afford it now.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. I don't know how people can go. But like, to me, it's just like, there's so many other things in this world to see. Why would you go see that like once or twice a year, every year? Like, I've been to Disney World, which I loved, and I kind of want to go one more time because that was like in 1996 that I went. And I want to see like Epcot Center as an adult, like and Universal Studios, all that stuff was really cool, and I'd like to see it again as an adult. But also I want to experience the whole Star Wars thing, because back in 96, Disney was not even thinking about buying Lucasfilm. Or maybe they were, but it was a secret. I don't know. But you know what I mean? So now they have all this Star Wars stuff, and I really want to kind of experience that nearly once. And then I went to Hong Kong Disney, and that was enough. Like, I don't feel the need to go. That there's so many other things in this world to see.
Yeah.
Like, it's been a year or two, and I'm not really good at saving, but I am trying. But the thing is right now, my number one bucket list destination is I really want to go to Austria and just see, like, the architecture and the culture and the art. And, like, it's just so very steeped in Art Deco era style, you know? Very opulent. It's very easy to imagine what life would be like back then because it's all taken care of so pristinely. So yeah, that's one place I want to check out, is Austria. I never got to see it when I was there in Europe when I was a kid. Then we never went. My parents went, but we didn't. Venice is another place I never got to see that I'd really like to experience at least once. Never been to New Zealand. I'd love to go there. There's parts of Canada that I would love to see that I haven't yet. Like, I haven't gone to PEI, and that's definitely on the list. Because, you know,
what about the Yukon? Have you ever thought about?
Yeah, no, I haven't been to the Yukon either. When I was a teenager, I almost went on an Army cadet exchange, but it didn't go through. through the Yukon. But yeah, so again, like there's another place I haven't been. There's the whole East Coast, like Newfoundland and New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, all those areas I haven't seen. And I'd love to. The whole time I lived in Quebec, I was there for 8 years, never went to Quebec City, and I always wanted to go. I just didn't get around to it. So there's another place. There's lots of places in this world that I'd like to see without going to Disney World twice a year.
Yeah, my brother's the kind of person that takes his daughter to Disney World like 4 times a year. And yeah,
it's a crazy amount of money too, because like now it's like the whole hotel stay.
I know.
Getting there.
I know.
Like my parents were smart. When they took us to Disney World, they rented, they did it like a timeshare. So we were nearby and we just drove and parked and went in.
Yeah. Magic Marmot says, I occasionally go to Wisconsin. And Magic Marmot also says, Musk is in that class too. Uranus from Song of the South. And then read my stuff. Oh yeah. That's Nightbot.
What's in Wisconsin? Is that like a Six Flags?
There's a Valley Fair is in Minnesota, and I want to say that's in Bloomington, Minnesota, and Valley Fair is a Six Flags park.
Oh, he says it's a MegaCon.
Yeah, OmegaCon.
What's a MegaCon?
It's a convention.
I gathered with the word con. I'm just wondering, is it a comic one? Is it a Transformers one? Is it, I don't know, conspiracy theory driven? Like, I don't know what it is. The translator translated Excelsior.
Yeah.
Ever upward.
Ever upward.
So what did it think it was? Latin? Excelsior, I guess, is Latin.
Excelsior is Latin.
Okay, so that was the language it was translating.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been trying to make my my Twitch page like friendlier to people, so that's why I've added the translator, and I added Nightbot. I set it to 20 minutes. I might set it a little higher so it doesn't pop up as much, but watch my stuff. Pay for secret stuff.
That sounds really cool. OmegaCon, Magic Marmot.
Yeah.
He says they take over a hotel, they play games, they hang around in pajamas and relax for a long weekend. Sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah, like bigger cities have some of the coolest events. I remember in Vancouver, there's this guy Torin that I know. He's in a band called The Darkest of the Hillside Thickets. They do like H.P. Lovecraft, sort of experimental prog rock. And he has done like a lot of art for D&D books and stuff. And he used to put on an event where you would eat like kids cereal and watch kids cartoons on like a Saturday night. And he rented the space and you could like totally crash out, like, there were mattresses, there were chairs and stuff, and have a good time with your friends.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's wholesome.
Yeah. And in China, we did it a few times too, because Game of Thrones was coming out and we could still get it. Like we would illegally download it because it's China. But you could like rent a movie theater room and it didn't cost very much there. So we would, and they would just play what we wanted. So we would watch the new episodes of Game of Thrones, like in a movie theater setting. And some of them had food and drinks, some of them didn't. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Got to do some really interesting stuff in China that you don't really get to do it elsewhere.
One of our activities is Saturday morning cartoons, says Magic Marmot.
Yeah. See, I mean, it's not an original idea, but it's just a fun thing to do with your friends.
Yeah.
In Montreal, there was a guy named Sherwin Tiwa, and he's a really good comic book artist too. And he would put on proms for adults.
Aw. Yeah, I never got to go to prom. I had a kind of a bad experience. And I had a lot of really good friends come over instead of going to prom, and then they hung out with me instead, and then we watched scary movies. So it ended up becoming like a good memory later on. But nice. I ran home crying. The guy I was going to go out with, he said he was going to go out with me, so I'd buy the ticket so he could take out another girl. And yeah, it was bad.
That
Yeah.
bastard.
Yeah.
What a
and
dink.
yeah, I bought a dress and everything.
Jesus.
And
You
yeah.
should have sued him.
Well, I mean,
Bastard.
I was just, I was more heartbroken. I had a crush on him, and he knew that, and he just
Well,
took
obviously, he
advantage of
took
it.
advantage of you, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and so, I learned my lesson. And yeah, but so I never got to go to prom.
Nor
I
did
went
I.
to prom with my boyfriend and my best friend, and it was so boring that we left. And we
Good.
went to the movie theater instead, and they were playing Pocahontas. And it was really funny because I was still in my prom dress, and I bought it was like a vintage prom dress from the 60s. So I had the gloves up to my almost shoulders, the satin white gloves, and it was like this sea foam green, and it had all this intricate beading down the front. It was like a long shift dress to my ankles, but then the back was all chiffon. I still have it, and so it looked like waves were billowing out behind me as I was walking. And while we were in line to get in to see Pocahontas, a little girl behind me was just like, "Mommy, look, she's a princess." So that's my prom memory. It was pretty fun. We had fun, but I just the kids I went to high school with were kind of boring, so I didn't really fit in with them anyways. So we just made our own fun and left.
A boyfriend I had suddenly wanted to get back together. We had broken up, and I realized, oh yeah, about 3 weeks from now is prom. He wants to take me to prom, even though we've broken up, and I did not relent. Not getting back together with you so we can go to prom. Nope. But
that would not be fun. There's a reason why some people break up.
Yeah.
Who are you trying to impress at this point?
And I had other male buddies, and they would kind of complain to me during bird watching class or something. It's like, how the hell am I gonna come up with $300 for prom? Rent a tux, and of course she wants me to rent a limo, and I can't do this.
It's crazy. I know, I remember looking at regular dresses that my classmates were buying, and they were $200 to $300 each. And then I went to a vintage shop in London, Ontario, and again, this is 1991. Yeah, 1990, 91. And oh no, wait, no, this is my prom, so this is 95. So yeah, it was 95. So vintage wasn't taking off like it has now, so you could actually find some really good stuff. And we only paid $60 for that dress. And
wow.
I said, I still have it. It needs to be steam cleaned, and the beading needs to be fixed up a bit, but it's a gorgeous, gorgeous dress.
So Magic Marmot says there's beverage baseball. It's probably 100 people, and I was a pity date for prom. It actually went well. Had my first kiss.
Yay! Good job, Magic Marmot.
And with that, we are done with our two panels. And we got 2 minutes left to go. We've gone long on a few episodes prior to this, so I think we're good to kind of end it there. And so we have Disney needs clearance from their legal team to engage Ludicrous Speed, and then the panel after this is they take a stop at a Buc-ee's in a space monolith.
Nice.
So there's monolith in the Buc-ee's. Is where we leave off.
Buc-ee's.
Yeah, so there's a Buc-ee's and a space monolith, and that's gonna be where we pick up next show. And so
Adventures in the store. Truck stop.
Yes, I want to of course thank my guest artist, Kay Kirscht, for joining us this week.
Thanks,
next week I have scheduled Dirk Teedy, but I haven't been able to get a hold of him, so it might be a different artist. So I don't have a card yet for the artist because I want to confirm that I have an artist. So
that's logical.
Yes, so not sure who's gonna be the artist next week. In my calendar it says Dirk Tiede, but I gotta get in contact with him. And then yes, we'll pick up next week right where we left off. So thank you, Miss Kay Kirscht, for joining us and being an amazing artist and being great with Philo and yes, and sharing with us your stories of prom and
I worked the night of prom. I was at Donaldson's. They needed
What's the
somebody to
Donaldson's?
work.
What's the Donaldson's?
Department store
Oh, okay.
in Brookdale. A mall
Oh.
long gone.
Oh, many moons fast. Yes. So
A
goodbye.
better fate.
Yes. Good night, Miss Kay. And then Miss Robin, my better half and co-host, who was very happy tonight about everything that new comics and sharing and talking about all the goodness of stuff. And I will see you next week as we always do. And then everybody out there in Chatland who decided to join us this evening, mansplaining or otherwise, I certainly appreciate your help and your suggestions and your presence here on the show. So thank you for joining us, and I will see you guys in the future. Have a good one. Bye.